Hey guys, Brother Monroe here, and this is a little bit of a different kind of video, and is basically a reaction to the video that Stealth17 put up. Well, not even a reaction, but just kind of a musing upon the video that he put up yesterday about the Q&A that he did with the developers. So he asked about a month ago for the community to submit questions, and I put in a few as well, and lots of people responded to that, and he got a reply from the developers, and I've watched it about 5 times, and I wanted to do not my own take on it, because Go watch Stealth's video. If you haven't watched Stealth's video already, go watch it, because otherwise this video is not going to make any sense whatsoever. A lot of secondaries the AI went with it. Because I wanted to talk about kind of an overall thing from what Stealth was talking about. So the big 3 questions that get asked all the time: quad turrets. Yes, that is definitely coming. From kind of reading the tea leaves a bit, I reckon that's coming probably 1 or 2 patches away. Wouldn't be surprised if it was in the very next update. Submarines. Now, this is a really interesting answer. Yes, submarines will be in the game, but not in the custom battle mode, which I'm currently letting the AI do its thing in. It will be a part of the campaign, and I'll talk about campaign in depth in just a moment, but you're not going to see submarines in the custom battles, and I don't think you'll be able to custom build your own U-boats or anything like that, like you can with the Dreadnoughts. And the other big one is carriers. Now, this again, they kind of said no, not now. Maybe later. If it comes later, I reckon they'll implement it the same way they do submarines, as something that you really only use in the campaign strategic mode. Because they also talked about scout planes. Now, this Dreadnought doesn't have them, but plenty of ships, such as the King George V class, had a catapult launcher for launching a seaplane, and then the seaplane would land on its pontoons, and then there would be a crane on the ship, and they would haul the plane back on, and things like that, and they were used for spotting. And they kind of said, no, well, we're probably not going to be able to get that into the custom battle mode, because that requires us writing a physics engine for planes. It would, can you shoot them down, kind of thing, and all that. So again, they said, probably on the campaign we might have that as an upgrade for your ships that you can optionally put on, and it will give them a little bonus to spotting or something like that. And that, I think, tells you very clearly that aircraft carriers, if they are implemented, I think are going to be a campaign level only. I would place money on that. Which I am fully in favour of. The game is ultimately Admiral Dreadnoughts. It's about ships with big guns going boom at each other. And if you introduce aircraft carriers, they will dominate. And then it becomes a very, very different game. So I'm pleased that they're being cautious about just implementing absolutely everything that the community kind of asks about. Not that I think I've heard many people in the community say, "Ooh, I want aircraft carriers." It's more, will you be doing aircraft carriers? Anyway, on to the campaign itself. Now, piecing together a few of the answers they gave Stealth, I think we've got a reasonable idea of what the campaign's going to look like. So the big one is they said it would be turn-based. Now that to me means you're either going to be looking at a kind of a very light board gamey style campaign map, where you have little pieces and you move from region to region, kind of like how campaigns work in Wargame. And I know lots of people who watch Stealth's channel have played Wargame, Red Dragon, and I think Alien Battle had it as well, where you have a map and you have little characters and you move them around. So they could go for that approach, or they could go full on a Total War style, with a lot of depth to the strategic map, and you move your fleets around more in a more granular fashion, so or it might be somewhere in between. I think the use of subs as a strategic asset, where you'll either be able to deploy subs to a certain region, or you might have them as a unit that you can move around on the map and interact with other fleets, but not necessarily. But you won't be able to launch a battle. So they might work a little bit like spies or assassins in the Total War series. I'm thinking. So that is very exciting, because I love a bit of turn-based strategy. I haven't got any turn-based strategy on the channel at the moment, and that would be really cool if the campaign has something awesome like that. I'm really excited to see what it looks like. As well, I'm really excited about the fact that they mentioned that crew and captains would be important. Now this really gets me like, yes please, because I love my RPGs, I love RPG elements, I love the idea that a ship and its crew could develop a personality and get bonuses and penalties in certain situations, and your ships take on a kind of a character. Now that's basically catnip for me. That is really exciting, and the same with captains, because you could move them from ship to ship. So you could start off with a captain on a cruiser, and he gets some experience. You think, wow, he's really good. I'm going to put him in charge of one of my dreadnoughts, or later on I'm going to promote him to admiral, and he can lead the entire fleet. And the span of the game from 1890 to 1940, at least in the custom battles, like you could have a captain on a destroyer at the beginning of the game, who by the end of the game is your main go-to admiral, and that is something really cool. I really like that idea. Maybe reading a little bit too much into it, but that sounds very cool indeed. Other stuff that I was quite excited by was that's just my dog in the background, by the way. Some paradox-esque things, as I would call it. So the first one is research. Now the campaign is going to be very much a sandbox style game, and to me that screams paradox type games. Stellaris, especially when they said sandbox, was the one that stood out to me, and of course I feature Stellaris on the channel, and I love Stellaris. And if they're going in that direction where it's very free form, you've no idea what's going to happen, playthrough to playthrough, I think that's going to be really exciting, because especially as a YouTuber and a Twitch streamer myself, that means I can just keep doing Ultimate Admiral campaigns forever, basically, and have a different experience every time, try something else out different every time. I also think it's a really clever way of avoiding something called first order optimization, where there's a well-known strategy that the community will work out pretty quickly, and if you follow that, then you're going to do very well. And I think keeping it very sandboxy, very different, so every playthrough for every person is going to be completely different. I really like that idea. And as well, they mentioned research. So you'll have to research technologies yourself and unlock them, and that's going to be different. Now, I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but they did say it would be different every time you played it, you don't necessarily know what the outcome of a research is. So I'm thinking maybe you just be like, well, do some engine research, please, guys. And you're not sure what they're going to come up with. They might say, well, now you can use forced boilers. Okay, or they might say, well, we've developed advanced shaft 2, or something like that. Now that could be very interesting. Or they might come up with a generic buff for all your ships. So say, you know, an extra 10% funnel capacity or something like that. That's very interesting. And again, with Stellaris, that is a feature of Stellaris in that the research that when you go to do a research, it's randomized, so you get a choice of, by default, 3 things. And if you pick one of them, you don't know when the other 2 are coming back. They might not come back for a long time in your playthrough. So they might do something like that as well. I think there's a lot of interest in that. And again, avoids first order optimization because there is no fixed tech tree. You can't predict and you can't rush key technologies very easily. You can try, but there's no guarantee, and I really like that as a feature. I think that gives the game a huge amount of replayability. The other one that kind of reminded me of Paradox, and Stealth mentioned it himself, was people were saying, well, what about historical, kind of progression, historical approaches taken by different countries and so on. And their answer kind of then like, no, we're going for a full sandbox, so you never know what's going to happen. But we might, they obviously like history, and they were talking about a Hearts of Iron 4 style historical focus option for the AI, as I would call it. So if you haven't played Hearts of Iron 4, you can turn on an option that makes the various AI countries behave in a similar way to their historical counterparts. And you can turn that off. There's even mods for Hearts of Iron that force the AI to do the complete opposite of what they did historically. So again, that shows to me that this game will have a lot of legs. It's already a really fun game to play, just with the custom battles in the Naval Academy. But I think the campaign is going to add an awful lot to the game, and I can see why the devs are laser focused on the campaign at the moment. It's not obvious to us players right now. Wow, that was a good hit by the AI there. It's not immediately obvious to us as players at the moment because all we have is the custom battles in the Naval Academy. But it sounds like that these are basically stepping stones on the way to them being able to have a campaign, and that's very interesting. I'll come back to that. The other stuff that I kind of wanted to talk about was there were a few things that they said. Well, maybe if the game is a success, we'll be able to do these things. Now, one of them was multiplayer and replays and things like that. Now, clearly the devs are fans of or worked on games where these things are included. So I think multiplayer and a replay mode would be a very interesting addition to this game, because it is interesting. They did confirm, by the way, that you will be able, in the custom battles, to design all of your ships and all of the enemy's ships as well. Save your ships and stuff like that. So they have all the puzzle pieces in place, in my opinion, to make multiplayer a really interesting experience. Might not be a super competitive game, but it would be enormous fun, and that's very important. I don't play multiplayer very much at all, but the idea of multiplayer ultimate Admiral, that's a game that I will play multiplayer, and that, I play nothing multiplayer, so that is apart from maybe a little bit of war game, but yeah, that is a big big thing, and I think they really, if they can, I would strongly recommend they try, because that would be amazing. But their answer was very much, if we can make the game a success. That's a big ask for us to include replays and multiplayer. That's a lot of things that we have to add to the game engine, networking, all the rest of it, matchmaking, lobbies, leaderboards, stuff like that. There's a lot of things they're going to have to think about to make that work, and I think that speaks to what I'll talk about next as well, because big one for me as well is mods and Steam Workshop support for those mods. And interestingly, they said we are from a modding background, modding roots. So I think a lot of these guys got their start making mods for other games, which is fascinating, and I think that speaks very, very positively to the fact that I think mods and Steam Workshop support will be coming. But again, they said if the game is a success, if players love the game, if they like it, then we can move on to that. And that speaks to the last thing I want to talk about, which is the culture of the development team behind this game. It's got a quite unusual release, so at the time of recording, at any rate, the only way you can get this game is to go directly to their website and purchase the game from the developers. And I'll put a link in the description for that. And I recommend that you do. The game is nowhere near finished. It is quite expensive, but you are supporting a really interesting project. And I bought this game pretty much as soon as I heard about it, because I really enjoyed it, and that was back in like Alpha 3 or something. And I think the answers the devs have been giving speaks to their kind of corporate, probably an overstatement to say corporate, but their culture. All of their answers, they were laser focused on the campaign, and that speaks volumes. So the custom battles, the Naval Academy, they are stepping stones to make the campaign work, and the campaign is the big thing. And once they have the campaign, they will think, right, this is good enough for us to put on the Steam Workshop. Not Steam, Steam Early Access. And now we give the game much, much more exposure. They sound like quite a small team, which I think is a good thing. They're a team that clearly loves their game. Like, they're in their answers, they really, really love this game. They love the idea of Dreadnoughts. They just think the game is the coolest, and that is a huge plus in my book. Like, you can, like, a dev team that loves their game, I think they love playing their game. I would love to see them doing some dev versus community type things. I'd love to see the devs take part in Task Master, actually. That would be hilarious. But they clearly really like the game, and they're very protective of it. And they want to make sure, and they're very careful about it. And that is really good to see, because I get a very good feeling from them that they are not going to rush. In fact, they said that they're not going to rush features out. They're going to take their time, and they can only do things in a financially viable way. They didn't say that, but it was kind of implied that they need to be sure that the game is going to sell, and the better the game does, the more they'll be able to add into it. Because it sounds like they don't have a huge upfront development budget. They don't have a big publisher pushing them. They self-publish, I said that. I think a lot of their development is being funded, and all of their future development is determined by how well the game sells. And at the moment, they're being cagey about that because they only have their direct sales, which, whilst I love this game, and the videos that I make, and the videos that Stealth makes, and all the other guys who are involved with this, like, Ultimate Admiral is the biggest, or one of the biggest games on our channel. So it's not even out yet. So there's clearly a lot of interest in the game. There's clearly a lot of people who love to play it. One of the main questions we get asked is, how do I buy the game? Well, buy the game, do it, anything you love, just go do it now. And this is not a paid product placement by any means. I have no contact with it whatsoever. I genuinely think this is a fantastic game. Go buy it. And I think once it comes out on Steam Early Access, they will be keeping a very close eye on whether the game does well. If it does well, I think they will accelerate things like multiplayer Steam Workshop mods, stuff like that. Doing stuff they would love to add, but they don't want to overstretch themselves. They don't want to say, yes, we're going to make Steam Workshop support, the mods, and you can add your own turrets and holes and all sorts of cool stuff, without taking the time to really think about it and really make sure that everything is going well, that there aren't any bugs in the game, that are a serious issue, that people are enjoying the campaigns, that the game's well balanced. This is all more important. That is such a good sign, such a good sign. So really, really positive about the future of the game. I'm really, really hopeful that they're gonna. I reckon full release is probably at least a year, maybe 18 months away, depending on how the campaign goes, campaign launch. But yeah, I think I was really positive to hear the answers from the dev team, and they were in-depth answers as well. Like, it wasn't a blasé, yes, no, fine, whatever, maybe. It showed a real sense of care and thought about what they were doing, and I thought that was really, really good to see. So I'm very excited to see the campaign. The campaign, when it comes out, will be a weekly episodic. Hello, Millie. Yes, it will. Yes, it will be on the channel. It will be. That will be exciting. Millie is very excited about that. I just got to go and bark at ghosts. I will definitely be featuring a campaign, probably for a long time. Custom battles aren't going to go away by any means, as a fun thing to do. And I'm really excited about it from a content creation point of view as well. One other thing that they did mention as well was the ability to save ships and things like that, which will be awesome, particularly if they bring the Steam Workshop and actually share ships for custom battles, which up on the workshop. That'd be quite cool, much like Kerbal does. You can upload ships that you've made for others to use, which I think is actually a really good idea, because if you watch my Ivorian series, I suck at building things in Ivorian. It's entirely possible that you'll have people playing the game who love the custom battles, love the campaign, but they hate building ships. They find it really difficult. And you can just go and download, say, one built by me, because I will definitely be trying to produce content for the workshop if and when they implement it. Scenarios as well, like Stealth says he has nearly 800 of things. I'm writing about, I usually come up with 1 or 2 a week. I usually get sent a few a week as well. And yeah, that would be awesome if you could upload scenarios as well. And be like, well, try out the Brother Monroe's scenario collection. That would be awesome. I would definitely do that. So overall, I'm going to stop waffling. Really, Millie, just bark so hard, choke. I think that the game is in a really good place. be a really good place in the future. And you should go buy it. Go buy the game. Join us. It's got a really awesome community already on YouTube, and I'm trying to build a community for it on Twitch as well. I think we've got a really good potential to build an absolutely fantastic little gem of a game here, and I really hope that you guys are enjoying the content and enjoying the game. Try and pick it up if you can. Speaking of which, they did say there's no plans on a Mac version, which does not surprise me. I am a Mac user, but I don't play games on it anymore. Very much. I can't remember what engine this is built in, but it definitely uses technologies that are Windows exclusive. So I don't expect a Mac version anytime soon. And that is a huge pain in the backside for a small dev team to do anyway. So I wouldn't expect that anytime soon. So sorry guys, if you're a Mac exclusive user, you're going to have to stick with watching it on YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to leave the AI to finish off, and I'm just going to say thanks very much for watching, if you still are. Will be more Ultimate Admiral content coming very, very, very soon. Go watch Stealth's video, like I told you to. Go buy the game if you can. Support the devs. Let them know that you would like to see multiplayer. Let them know that you would like to see Steam Workshop support, and any other features, because they definitely are listening to the people who have the game at the moment. So, or wait for it to come out on Steam Early Access. They did confirm the price. It will be $40 US. So keep an eye out for it. Let's get it to absolutely rocket up the early access charts. Get a lot of press for it. Get a lot of attention for it, because it's a really cool game, and I really wish the developers all the best with it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. Bye bye.